So I just found out serendipitously that my favorite contemporary poet, Tony Hoagland, has died of pancreatic cancer, and this, Turn Up the Ocean, will be the last book of his poetry I ever read. And I realize it's a weird thing to do these days, but he believed in it, and so do I. I am, in memory of my boy Tony Hoagland, going to read some of his favorite poems. The first book, Donkey Gospel.
What in the tarnations? Hey, Big Karen, this kid on the interweb here, this little pansy's gonna read some poems out loud.
So I realize -10 of you actually care about this, but on the off chance that one of you do, or a Tony Hoagland fan wanders across this, this is Jet, the first poem of his I ever read out of his first full book of poetry, Donkey Gospel. Jet. Sometimes I wish we were still out on the back porch, drinking jet fuel with the boys, getting louder and louder as the empty cans drop out of our paws like booster rockets falling back to Earth, and we soar up into the summer stars. Summer, the big sky river rushes overhead, bearing asteroids and mist, blind fish in old spacesuits with skeletons inside. On Earth, men celebrate their hairiness, and it is good, a way of letting life out of the box, uncapping the bottle to let the evanescent gush through the narrow, usually constricted neck. And now the crickets plug in their appliances in unison, and then the fireflies flash dots and dashes in the grass like punctuation for the labyrinth, untrue tales of sex someone is telling in the dark. Though no one really hears or cares, we gaze into the night as if remembering the bright, unbroken planet we once came from, to which we will never be permitted to return. We are amazed how hurt we are. We would give anything for what we have. I can't help but read one more out of this same book. I could read any number of them, but this is one that really meant a lot to me when I first read it, and the title is Dickhead. Dickhead. To whomever taught me the word dickhead, I owe a debt of thanks. It gave me a way of being in the world of men when I most needed one, when I was pale and scrawny, naked, goose-fleshed as a plucked chicken in a supermarket cooler. A poor forked thing stranded in the savage universe of puberty where wild jock straps flew across the steamy skies of locker rooms, and everybody fell down laughing at jokes I didn't understand. But dickhead was a word as dumb and democratic as a hammer, an object you could pick up in your hand and swing, saying dickhead this and dickhead that, a song that meant the world, was yours enough at least to bang on like a garbage can. And knowing it, and having that beautiful ugliness always cocked and loaded in my mind, protected me and calmed me like a psalm. Now I have myself become a beautiful ugliness, and my weakness is a fact so well established that it makes me calm. And I am calm enough to be grateful for the lives I never have to live again. But I remember all the bad old days back in the world of men, when everything was serious, mysterious, scary, hairier, and bigger than I was. I recall when flesh was what I hated, feared, and was excluded from. Hardly knowing what I did or what would become of it, I made a word my friend. So the next one I want to read you is called Romantic Moment. It's one of my favorites. Romantic Moment. After seeing the nature documentary, we walked down Canyon Road into the plaza of art galleries and high-end clothing stores, where the mock orange is fragrant in the summer night, and the smooth adobe walls glow flesh-like in the dark. It is just our second date, and we sit down on a bench, holding hands, not looking at each other. And if I were a bull penguin right now, I would lean over and vomit softly into the mouth of my beloved. And if I were a peacock, I'd flex my gluteal muscles to erect and spread the quills of my Cinemax tail. If she were a female walking stick bug, she might insert her hypodermic proboscis delicately into my neck and inject me with a rich hormonal sedative before attaching her egg sac to my thoracic, undercarriage. And if I were a young chimpanzee, I would break off a nearby tree limb and smash all the windows in the plaza jewelry stores. And if she was a Brazilian leopard frog, she would wrap her impressive tongue 3 times around my right thigh and pummel me lightly against the surface of our pond, and I would know her feelings were sincere. Instead, we sit a while in silence until she remarks that in the relative context of tortoise and iguanas, human males seem to be actually rather expressive. And I say that female crocodiles really don't receive enough credit for their gentleness. Then she suggests that it's time for us to go to get some ice cream cones and eat them. All right, last one. Literally, as I hold the bulk of his last book in my left hand, this is the last poem of his, new poem I will ever read, entitled Peaceful Transition. The wind comes down from the northwest, cold in September, and flips over the neighbor's trash receptacles. The Halifax newspaper says that mansions are falling into the sea. Storms are rising in the dark Pacific. Pollution has infiltrated the food chain down to the jellyfish level. The book I am reading is called The End of the Ascent of Man. It says the time of human dominion is done, but I am hoping it will be a peaceful transition. It is one thing to think of Buffalo on Divisadero Street, of the Golden Gate Bridge overgrown in a tangle of vines. It is another to open the door of your own house to the waves. I am hoping the humans will be calm in their diminishing, that the forests grow back with patience, not rage. I am hoping the flocks of geese increase, their number only gradually. Let it be like an amnesia that we don't even notice. The hills forgetting the name of our kind, then the sky. Let the fish rearrange their green governments as the rain spatters slant on their roof. It is important that we expire. It is a kind of work we have begun in order to complete. Today, out of the north, the cold wind comes down, and I go out to see the neighbors' trash bins have toppled in the drive. I see the unpicked grapes have turned to small, sweet raisins on their vine. I see the wren has found a way to make its little nest inside the cactus thorns. Amen. Hey, you guys are still here. If you're still here and you like what you heard, go out and buy Donkey Gospel. You'll love it. His best work is in here. And if you don't read contemporary poetry, but you like what you heard, check out some others. Billy Collins, Edward Hirsch, Stephen Dunn is one of my favorites, Matthew Dickman, just to name a few. Donkey Gospel. One more poem, the last, I promise. And it starts with the title is the first line, and it's the first time I'd ever seen anyone do that. Fred had watched a lot of Kung Fu episodes, so when the policeman asked to see his driver's license, he said, "Does the wind need permission from the hedgehog to blow?" Which resulted in a search of the car, which miraculously yielded nothing, since Fred had swallowed all the mescaline already, and was just beginning to fall in love with the bushy caterpillar eyebrows of the officer in question. In those days, we could identify the fingerprints on a guitar string by the third note of the song broadcast from the window of a passing car. But we couldn't tell the difference between a personal disaster and having an experience. So Fred thought being locked up for the night was kind of fun, with the graffiti on the drunk tank wall, chattering in Mandarin, and the sentient cockroaches coming out to visit in triplicate. Back then, it wasn't a question of pleasure or pain. It wasn't a question of getting to the top, then trying not to fall at any cost. It was a question of staying tuned in, one episode at a time, said Fred to himself as he walked home the next morning under the spreading lotus trees on Walnut Street, feeling oriental. So what I really love about this guy is the way he juxtaposes things you don't normally see together, his attention to detail, his insight on human nature, and his bizarre, zany, comical, beautiful magic trick that he does with words that take you to places that you didn't think you were going until you got there. Tony Hoagland, check him out. He is no longer with us. Donkey Gospel. See you later. Peace.